Strange World is Disney's latest theatrical release. It follows the Clade family as they attempt to save a plant known as Pando, while the film features a message about energy and saving the planet from damaging archaic fuels. It also functions as a fun, lighthearted adventure.
It's just a nightmare tunnel. Just be brave.
But let's take a look at how the characters stack up on the morality spectrum. I'm Kyle with Wicked Binge, and this is Strange World Characters Good to Most Heroic. Now, just a heads up, spoilers ahead. And also, because of a serious lack of real villains in this film, this spectrum will be good to most heroic as opposed to good to evil. With that said, let's get started with the least good character and work our way up to the most noble. The least good character on our list is Caspian. Caspian is a nerdy and erratic member of the crew who go on the adventure to the Strange World. He first appears early on in the film where he tries to get Searcher to forge Jaeger's autograph because he was a big fan of the adventure. He's later the one who loses Ethan when he runs off and gives up trying to fly the ship when Meridian pops in. Really, he's just very bad at his job. He only comes along to generally be annoying and useless. In fact, one could argue that while he is sort of useless, he is the reason Ethan was able to escape, and without him, the movie would have ended drastically different. Regardless, he is unhelpful and definitely deserves to be at the very bottom of our list. That said, we now get to the only real villain this movie has. Up next is Callisto Mal. Now, calling her a villain is not exactly true, but she does take on the heaviest antagonistic role for the film. In fact, there are no real villains in the movie beyond the plant Pando, but Callisto does get a villain arc for a very short time. Though that said, it is just because she is misguided about what's going on. She is the president of Avalonia, where she enlists Searcher to help find out why Pando's failing. She brings Searcher along and tries to work as a middle ground for Searcher and Jaeger's fighting, and tries her hardest to save Pando. In fact, this gets to the point where she locks the Clade family in a closet, so they couldn't destroy the plant she believes is nothing but helpful. She is a good person who cares about her country and the people around her, which leads to her misguided attempt to lock up the Clades. This is why we have to rank her here on our list, from the president down to her captain. Next up is Captain Polk. Polk is the highest ranking member of Callisto's crew beyond herself, where she works as the captain, giving some orders but mostly keeping track of the crew and what they're doing. She tells the pilot to earn his paycheck and doesn't seem too perturbed by Callisto's decision to lock up the Clades. Polk does have one excuse, because she is taking orders from the president, so following orders, even misguided ones, is her whole thing. She also doesn't have much in terms of screen time. The time she is on screen is mostly following an order or berating an employee. That said, she can't take as much blame as Callisto, simply because she was following her orders to kill the creatures. Moving on to the only other quote-unquote villainous character on our list, Jaeger Clade. Now, much like Callisto, calling him a villain is a sort of mischaracterization. However, he is still a bit antagonistic, at least at first. Jaeger is the father of Searcher Clade and the grandfather of the main character Ethan. Jaeger was an explorer and adventurer who had been exploring the land of Avalonia for quite a while, even training and bringing his son Searcher along as he did so. He makes it quite obvious that his mission is to reach the other side of the mountains no matter what, despite better and more efficient options being found in the Pando that Searcher discovers. Jaeger then abandons his son and family for 25 years, finding his way into and getting stuck in the titular Strange World. His survival instincts have let him handle the world and its creatures, and upon arriving, he instantly ends up saving both Searcher and Ethan on a couple occasions. Jaeger is a man who is stuck in his ways, and is found to be nearly immovable, which was especially the case 25 years ago when he first left. However, as the years went by, he got wiser, and while he still wanted to find out what was on the other side of the mountains, he seemed regretful for abandoning Searcher. In fact, he seemed to only care about fame and fortune. However, by the end of the film, he gave up on his dream to help save the Strange World, and learns to trust Searcher and Ethan, even if he doesn't believe them at first. Jaeger manages to turn for the better at the end of the movie. That said, we do need to dock some points for abandoning his family and his general behavior and personality. Moving from cranky grandfather to mischief maker, we have Splat landing next on our list. Splat is a scout, a small gooey creature that allegedly leads adventurers to their deaths at the hands of the large reapers. However, while it did attempt to get Ethan killed, upon being helped by Ethan, it switches gears and becomes more like a pet and friend, helping Ethan on his adventure. Splat makes its presence known by not only saving the life of Ethan a couple times, but helping Jaeger and Searcher on occasion. Not to mention, it managed to utilize the Sea of Fire pickles to help get the ship through so they could get closer to the heart of Pando. Splat spends most of the film being little more than a menace, but if it wasn't for this goopy friend, the movie would have had a premature end. Splat is also the one who lets Ethan know about the truth of Pando and the strange world, which is the reason why they were able to save the world turtle. So yeah, we can't rank Splat any higher because it is a bit of an annoyance, but it definitely earns its ranking here. From one pet to another. Next is the three-legged dog, Legend. Legend is a big dog that seems to have been owned by Searcher and Ethan for quite a while, and he helps out around the farm to some degree. While it is unknown what caused Legend to lose a leg, it's likely because of some sort of farming accident. Legend is also kind of a dumb dog, as he continually tries to eat Pando despite constantly getting shocked by it. Legend does spend most of the time in the film being cute and just kind of meandering around. However, he is partly responsible for saving the Clades from being locked in the closet for too long. With help from Splat, Legend was able to save the family and help save the giant turtle they live on. Taking the Bronze Medal of Good is Ethan Clade. Ethan is arguably the main protagonist in the film, where he is the son of Searcher and Meridian Clade. He grew up on the Pando farm that Searcher operated and ends up sneaking on board the ship that ends up going to the strange world. He's also shown trying to impress his crush, Diazo, on multiple occasions, even trying to get his dad not to embarrass him. Ethan also wants to be his own person, becoming an explorer and trying to help those around him in any way he can, usually by farming the Pando. When he met Splat, he trusted it with his life, and after it got injured, Ethan had no problems helping it get fixed up. He's also a smart kid, knows how to do the things necessary to survive, while also helping those in need. He has a thirst for adventure, and does everything necessary to fulfill it, even if it puts himself in danger. Sure, he is still just a kid, and it shows that he doesn't know exactly what's best at any given time, but he is trying his best. Similarly, taking the Silver Medal of Good is Searcher Clade. Searcher is the son of infamous explorer Jaeger Clade and the father of Ethan. Searcher was once a great explorer like his father, but upon discovering Pando, he instead became a researcher and farmer, becoming a hero to the world of Avalonia. Searcher spent 25 years of his life farming Pando, and trying to live happily and quietly without thinking about his father or adventure. This is especially true considering he was initially against going on the trip to the strange world, until he was sort of guilt-tripped into saving Pando. Searcher cares very deeply for his family and was vigilant about trying to have Ethan join their crew. He'll do anything for his family, whether it be fighting monsters or allowing his dad to help them. He does have some issues with his dad, but that's to be expected from a man who had disappeared for 25 years. Searcher also hates adventure for the most part and would rather be at home when it comes down to everything else. And he does have an issue when it comes to Ethan's dreams to do anything else, and it takes him a little bit to find that Ethan doesn't want to be like him. He does try his best, and he is a much better father than the one he had. Grabbing the grandiose Gold Medal of Good is Meridian Clade. Meridian is the mother of Ethan and the wife of Searcher, and she's an amazingly good character in her own right. She works hard on the farm, mostly fertilizing and dusting the crops so that they grow correctly, and she's also an intensely skilled pilot. Meridian appears pretty early in the film, and it seems like she might disappear. However, she arrives to let Searcher know about Ethan being a stowaway. She then helps the crew by becoming the new pilot and working with them to try and save Pando. That said, unlike the rest of the crew, she instantly believes Searcher and Ethan when they inform them about the truth behind Pando and the turtle. In fact, this leads to her being locked up with the other two, only to escape and help them defeat the virus-like Pando. She even fights with the president of Avalonia so that she can help her family, which shows just how good of a person she really is. Meridian is a good person who cares deeply for her family and the people around her, which easily earns her the Gold Medal of Good. With our morality spectrum complete, let's wrap things up with a few Sinner medals. Taking our divisive Darwin medal is the dumb dog himself, Legend, who is shown on on multiple occasions just being dumb, unable to unlock the door, or eating Pando despite its repercussions. Our wrath medal rightfully resides in the hands of Jaeger Clade, who argues and fights constantly, and is one of the only characters shown killing. Jaeger also picks up the Pride medal, as throughout the film he's shown to care very little beyond his own pride, his ego, and becoming a famous explorer by fulfilling his destiny. Lastly, the Lust medal goes to Searcher Clade, who continually kisses and loves his wife, Meridian, throughout the movie. But let us know in the comments section if you agree with our ranking, and tell us what we should cover next. Remember to hit that notification bell and binge our Good to Evil playlist, where we break down the morality of the characters in your favorite cartoons, shows, and movies. But most importantly, stay wicked.